Hello there from PortAventura in Salou. We're back for the first time in 2 years. And I don't know if I've got to wear my mask or not, because I'm going to talk about the COVID restrictions here. Well, there hasn't been any so far. There's no vaccine passport to get into the park. However, you do need a vaccine passport to go into the restaurants and the shops, and I'm assuming the shows here. So that's worth knowing. I'll talk about all of the COVID checks in the airport in a separate write-up. I've already posted a little bit about that on social media. But let's talk about PortAventura. If you've been watching Pleasure Beach Experience for a while, you will know that I absolutely love this park. It was the first European park that I ever came to, and I've always got a soft spot for it, and it's just so nice to be back here. Excited to get back on Backhoe. I know not everybody likes Backhoe, but I still think it's ace. Shambhala, Dragon Con, Stampede, El Diablo. No log flume today, no Tatuki splash, but I believe the rapids will be open. We will be covering the shows. We'll try and get lots of park footage and just do a proper vlog where we cover as much as we possibly can. We are here for 2 days, so the weather may change a little bit in the background at times because I'm going to film this vlog over 2 days. I just can't tell you how happy I am to be back at this park. So it's time to introduce the person that I'm here with today. The last time he was here, he fell over a bottle top. He loves his water rides.
Hey, hello.
Is it good to be back?
It's good to be back.
It's been years.
4 years since I've been here.
Is it that bottle top just put you off coming?
Well, there was a small matter of Boris wouldn't let us abroad for 2 years, or
Yeah.
for a year.
Yeah, that's
There's a little matter of the place has been shut for a while.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
It's good to be back, really good to be back.
Yeah, I bet it is. So what are you looking forward to today? Because obviously, as discussed off camera, you're not going on every ride today, so
No.
anything in particular you're excited
Well,
for?
there's at least one water ride here,
Yes.
still open, which I've got previous for riding and being looked at in a rather strange way for going on a water ride in
Almost December.
Christmas.
This video will be uploaded in December.
Yeah.
That's worth noting.
Obviously we've got El Diablo, we'll get on.
Magic fish.
I was going to call it magic. I was going to call it flying fish, like I always do.
How did I forget about that?
I
That's
always
brilliant.
call it flying fish, and it's magic fish.
It is magic
It's a great
fish.
ride. Green spinny thing.
Green spinny thing, yeah, because we cannot
Because
pronounce
we can't
that.
pronounce it properly.
We will try to. We'll
give it a go. But
We'll give it a go. We'll get a
it'll
shot
look
of
a
this.
mess.
Yeah,
And the shows, obviously.
yeah. It's always good to watch the shows when we come here.
Saloon, chicken bites in the saloon. Yeah, and Estrella Dam.
Yes. You know-
Yards of Estrella Dam, just look at that view over there.
Yes. The thing is, we're not driving here today, and we're not driving back, so we
Nope.
can have Estrella Dam
Oh, yeah.
and pretty much as we want, because they sell it by the yard here, so happy
Not quite
days.
by the cask.
No, by the
They
yard.
do sell it by the yard, which is good, because it's always nice to have a yard of Estrella
Completely
on the
agree.
lake.
So I've got fast pass for some of the rides as well today, just in case it's busy. I doubt it's going to be busy, but I just thought maximise the time whilst we're here. Come to the rapids, and Mike's slightly worried because it's lacking in something quite important for this ride to operate, and that is water. However, the staff have just assured lots of people asking and ourselves that it will be opening a little bit later than expected, so Mike's worries are eased. However, it was quite funny when we walked over and Mike's like, there's no water, I don't think we're gonna get on it. We have water. Somebody's turned the tap on. You know you're a roller coaster geek when you've got a park with rides like Shambhala, Dragon Con, Furious Backhoe, but you stand watching the rapids being filled up because, well, it's quite geeky. So currently, with the rapids, all of the boats are very close together on the turntable. However, once the testing gets going in full swing, the turntable will be used to space out the boats. Usually on rides like this, the turntable speed can be adjusted to go faster and slower, and that'll help with the boat spacing, which at the minute is obviously not very good. but once the testing's in full swing, the boats will be spaced accordingly and ready for the Rapids opening. Are you excited now you've seen the Rapids set up? Most people start a PortAventura vlog by running to Shambhala or Dragon Con or Backhoe. Scott and Mike, we stand watching the Rapids.
Watch ride fire up, but I've never seen it done.
No. Something that's worth knowing about when you do come to PortAventura is not every ride opens when the park opens. So today the park opened at 10 AM. However, there's only a couple of rides open currently. This has always been the case here as long as I remember, whereas rides will start opening from 10:30 and then 11, then 11:30. So unfortunately, getting here for opening time doesn't always work in this park because it seems that everybody does that, but then there isn't much open for those crowds that are here. So the queues in the first hour always seem to be really busy until everything sort of evens out over all the rides once they're open.
Pleased to report, for those who've watched that video,
The bottle top?
that one,
Yeah.
there's no ice rink, so we're safe.
The safe. No ice rink, which means there's no bottle tops to be distracted
Nothing
by.
to fall over.
No, exactly. So you're all good then.
All good.
We're safe. We just wanted to mark you as safe, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook app, safe. Right, so I'm not actually going on Shambhala for obvious reasons. But just as a quick guide on the restraint on this is the tightest restraint on any of the B&M hikers I've been on, which is 4. Just if you are coming, there is a test seat here.
There it is.
It has the red line here.
So when it goes green,
Well,
it
that
means
green
it's
red,
good.
yeah.
Which basically means you've got to be pinned.
You've got to be about, well, we'll give you an idea.
Yeah, so
It's tight.
it is tight. So yeah, the thing
So
is
just
on...
for reference,
Yeah.
that's it. It is a very, very, very tight seat.
Yeah, it is worth
Also
knowing.
narrow as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth knowing that that test seat is at the start of the queue line, so
Yeah.
you don't have to join the queue line, get to the front and be disappointed. It also has a little guide there telling you if you can or can't go on it, and like Mike says, there is the red and green line there, the red and green line, I'll say that a bit more clearly, to show you if you're good to go on it or not.
Just to
So
put in context, I've been on Nitro. The Nitros is up here.
yeah, to be fair, on Mako it's
Yeah.
similar, and on Diamondback it's similar.
Nitros is up there.
Just for
So-
some reason on Shambhala it has to be ultra tight
Yeah.
for whatever reason, because like you say, Nitro at Six Flags,
Nitro's huge.
and it's the same style of seats.
Same seat. Nitro's huge. The big seats on Silver Star are huge.
Yeah,
Well, not huge, but they're quite accommodating. So it's an odd one, but just so you're aware, this is the only ride in the park that does have a test seat.
just picking up from Mike then, I've now been on Shambhala, and just to add to the restraints discussion, they are very tight. They had to give me a damn good shove on the restraint to get in the ride. Also, I mentioned earlier on about masks, not knowing if they were mandatory or not. Masks are mandatory everywhere in this park, so even here now, sitting in this walkway with no one around me, we do have to wear them. More than happy to respect the rules, so this will be staying on. In terms of Shambhala, actually very lucky to have been on it because it's struggling in the wind. It's like the big one. It's struggling in high winds. I didn't think that would ever happen coming here, but it is such a windy day today. I'm just thankful I got on it. I'm not going to start talking about how good or how bad it was because the wind is severely affecting its ride performance. I'm just glad I got on it. It's noisy. by the way. I'm glad I got on it. The airtime is still amazing. That first drop is still wonderful, and it's just great to get back on it. But I do feel sorry for the staff, because they are running to get those trains dispatched in small windows where the wind drops enough for them to dispatch it. So fair play to the Shambhala staff. In the past we've complained about them being too slow, stacking the trains, but you know what, they could quite easily shut Shambhala today, but instead they're running down the trains, getting them dispatched, and it was just great to get back on it. The next thing we're going to be doing now is going off to see the Saloon Show. Bring it on. Here we are in the Far West Saloon then at PortAventura to watch the Christmas time Saloon Show. Now the reason we've come straight to this after Shambhala is because we were planning on getting some dinner, because in the past we've always come in here and had our dinner, haven't we? Yeah. Whereas the menu's changed a little bit.
The chicken's gone.
The chicken's gone.
So I've got a hot dog.
So you're having a hot dog, and I'm just going to get a drink for now. Probably get something.
I've also got an Estrella Damm.
You got an Estrella Damm as well? Yeah, it makes sense.
¡Soy Papá Noel! ¡Soy Papá Noel! ¡Oh, oh, oh!
Ahora sí, pillines. A la misión imposible.
Está bien. Espera, Rudolf, no empuje. ¡Que voy! ¡Ho, ho, ho! ¡Muy bien!
¡Qué guay! ¿Eh?
¡Ho, ho, 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 ho! ¡Ho, ho, 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 ho! Es el momento que empiece la Navidad. Junto a mí todo el mundo va a disfrutar. Luces y Navidad, todo está decorado. Trae el turrón, el cotillón, deja las penas a un lado. ¡Rudolf, qué frío! Mi barba está congelada. ¡Rudolf, qué frío! Pero aquí dentro no se está mal. ¡Rudolf, qué frío! Ya saben cómo río yo. ¡Rudolf, qué frío! ¡Vamos todos! ¡Ho, ho, ho! Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. Así se recibe a Papá Noel.
Santa,
Yo.
Santa,
Oh! Ho, ho, ho!
There's a star in the sky. Everyone can see this magical light. Big and small, shine this feeling together all over the night. We can ride
done the Saloon Show, Christmas time as it's called. Yeah, really good show. It's always a good show, that one in there.
It's a bit different than normal because obviously we've got COVID to contend with. Back in the day, there was always the fear that we might end up on stage.
Yeah.
And the performers always came out between the tables, got very close to the tables, but this time it's very COVID secure, and to be honest, I actually think the show works better as it is now.
Yeah, to a point it does, yeah. Because I think sometimes you find yourself, you're looking round the corner or something like that. But yeah, no, it worked really well. Really well done as ever.
Yeah.
The music as ever is as catchy as anything.
Would I be right in saying you now have what's his name? Bruno Mars stuck in your head? Yeah.
Really brilliant reword of Uptown Funk in there.
Oh, I'm glad you've remembered what it was called. I honestly couldn't remember.
Yeah, Uptown Funk. It's a really funny, the complete rewrite of Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Santa Funk.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And the usual stuff.
Yeah.
At the end, Feliz Navidad at the end.
And Mariah Carey.
Always have a Mariah Carey.
That'll be stuck in my head now as well.
Yeah.
All in all, happy you watched it?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, excellent.
Might be back tomorrow.
Oh, I would imagine so. I'd imagine we'll watch it again.
And the food's a bit more limited than it normally is, but hot dog, chips and a beer for just over €10. Can't argue with that.
Just picking up on what Mike was saying about the show. Really, really good. The last time I watched it was 2 years ago, and of course for Mike, the last time I watched it was 2017. The show itself doesn't change too much, but in terms of infrastructure, let's say, obviously like I was saying behind the camera, COVID has changed the show in such a way that in the old days, like the show would start with the two guys, or the one guy, because obviously there's one guy and one guy is Santa. The one guy who wasn't Santa would come in through the doors where we all go in as guests, and all the performers would come in from different points and all end up on the stage, but then they'd end up all around the tables. Whereas I think it worked better this time because it was all on the stage, so you didn't have to keep looking and second guessing where everything was happening. And also, as much as it's funny having that risk of potentially going up on stage, I actually think this show is a lot better than it's ever been before when I've watched it, because in years gone by there was a massive section in the middle where for 10-15 minutes one of the audience would be on the stage and part of the show, and it was always a bit stop-start, a bit boring at that point, I've got to be honest. Whereas now the show just flowed perfectly. It was absolutely brilliant. I think it's probably the best version of that show that's ever been on. So as always, the actors, performers better word I think, were absolutely fantastic. And just, yeah, I'm really glad we watched it. A bit disappointed about the food offering, but more than made up for that with Estrella Dam, so what a shame, eh? Next up is going to be Stampede, the twin track wooden roller coaster here. Gotta be honest, I'm not usually a big fan of this. Just taken my one and only ride on Stampede of this trip. It's probably going to be my first moan of the day. Really enjoyed being back at PortAventura, but I think they're giving Stampede a miss from now on, because honestly, I don't know if it didn't help. It probably didn't help that I sat on the back row, but I always find that Stampede is rough wherever you sit, and it makes the Grand National feel glass smooth. That's the only way I can describe it. It's just not pleasant at all. I think the trains don't help. I was lucky enough to go on Stampede when it had the PTC trains like Megaphobia and similar to Grand Nationals, and it was a lot smoother and a lot more enjoyable back then. The trains it's got now, they're just not nice. They're uncomfortable on the legs, uncomfortable to sit in. It's like being on a garden bench on wheels on a wooden roller coaster. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just not nice. As much as I want to sit here and go, yeah, it needs RMC'd, I think if it had different trains on it, it would just be so much better. But I'm all for it being RMC'd, because that'd certainly be an improvement. New trains would certainly be an improvement. Just something to get rid of those horrific trains it's got. Also, whilst we're on the subject of trains, it is on 50% of capacity. So even with fast pass, it wasn't a quick sort of go up, go on it, walk away. It took nearly half an hour, and it's nothing to do with the staff on the platform. The platform staff are doing the restraint checks really quickly. It's just that after that, there just seems to be a really long delay before the trains are being sent. I don't know if it's because of the wind, because of the weather, or just because there's a bit of faff. I really don't know, but it took ages to get on it, and I think that only made things worse with how it was in the end. But yeah, that's Stampede done. Won't be doing it again. Time to move on to something else.
We're going to do green spinny thing.
Or also known as Serpiente.
That's the reason we call it green spinny thing, because we can't pronounce that.
Yeah, it's just, we are terrible at pronouncing stuff.
Green.
There he is. It's green and it spins. How was it for you?
That was really good.
It looked fun.
That was brilliant, actually. That was the last time I went on this. There was something wrong with it, that it wasn't running its full cycle, and it was a bit flat and a bit tame. Whatever it is, they fixed it.
Yeah.
And it runs its proper cycle again, and it was quite a fast cycle actually as well. So.
And really well dispatched. It seemed really quick.
Yeah, he did. He had it checked and on and done pretty quick. So yeah. That was a really good. I mean, I enjoy this ride. I always have enjoyed this ride.
Agreed. Like the old sombreros at Drayton Manor.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
It basically is. Yeah. I think it's a Gerstlauer.
Is it? I've no idea.
Rightly. Yeah, I think it's Gerstlauer, maybe. But it's a brilliant ride. Just for a point of restraints, somebody might ask. It does have over-the-shoulder restraints. All it has to do is click.
Right.
And as it fits on me, they're big.
Yeah.
It's just got a click, and I get 2 clicks on it, so yeah, but really enjoyed that.
Excellent. Hurricane Condor, PortAventura's Intamin drop tower, very terrifying drop tower, is unfortunately closed due to high winds. Honestly, it's not a surprise. It is a very windy day, and to be honest, I'm not that disappointed. It is a great ride, but it is a terrifying one as well. Next up, it's time for an Arrow Classic.
Yeah.
El Diablo.
Yeah.
Europe's only aerodynamics coaster outside of Blackpool.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
It rings a bell.
It really is.
The only one, yeah.
It is the only one that's not in Blackpool, would you believe? And we're going in.
We might be going on in a second.
I think we are going on in a second. It is pretty much a 0-minute waiting time for this one, which is all good. I think it's
I'll
on
tell you that.
2 trains at least.
2, possibly 3, it could be 5. I know it has got 5 trains.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it run on 5,
No.
but it's certainly been on 3 a lot of the times we've been here. So yeah, it's
it has
time.
3 lift hills, so it can run a lot.
Yeah, 4 trains at least, I'm sure of it. Anyway, we'll go and do it, see how it's running. Always good to do an Arrow. That was a very quick wait for El Diablo.
Yeah,
it was a straight on kind of wait.
All of a minute and a half wait.
Back row
Longer
as well.
walk round the queue than actually queuing.
Agreed.
Straight on the back row.
Just like at home when big ones play
It
it.
sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we were talking about trains in the queue line, and we reckon it's got 7 block sections, which means it could have run 5 trains.
Yeah.
So we reckon we've got the 3 lift hills, they're block sections. You've got the transfer track, which is a block section. 2 brake runs, and the station. Have I got that right? I think I have. Yeah.
Just for referencing, in case anyone's wondering when we say about the transfer track, bizarrely enough, the transfer track for this ride is halfway round it.
Yes.
It's just before the final lift hill.
It is a bizarre ride though, let's face it.
Very bizarre. Well, it's Arrow, isn't it? It's the sort of strange arrangement that Arrow were good at coming up with, but it works.
It does.
There's a massive area at the back of the ride.
Yeah.
So, it's a brilliant ride though.
weather's starting to get a little bit cooler, so we've decided we're going to go and watch another Christmas show, and that is the Christmas World Show on the 3 o'clock showing.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling, ring, tingle, tingling too. Come on, it's a lovely weather for the sleigh ride together with you.
What you gonna do, baby? It's all you.
Have a holly jolly, have a holly jolly, have a holly jolly Christmas.
I don't tell you tonight.
My Christmas things, but don't be there, Santa baby.
I wanna get there in night. I love Santa baby.
And I need to know, yeah, Santa baby.
So hurry down and take me tonight.
Just on the Christmas World Show, Mike. What did you think?
Fantastic as ever. The way some of the stuff they have them doing in there is phenomenal.
I just can't even imagine how they firstly know that they can do it, and secondly then do it in front of an audience.
I mean, the only thing I can relate to that I've ever done is there's a trampoline bit. Now, I used to be alright on a trampoline when I was younger and I didn't have injuries left, right and centre. And that was sort of bouncing up and down. These are dropping 20 foot onto the back.
Yeah.
And springing back up. That is terrifying.
It's terrifying because they do it and they end up in the exact same starting point. It's just like, what? How do you do this?
To me, dropping 20 foot onto your back was terrifying because you knew if you got it an inch wrong, you were screwed. Doing it in front of that many people landing in the same spot you were.
And then doing it again.
And then doing it again repeatedly. It's just
incredible.
Some of the acts that are in these shows are well, all of the acts that are in these shows are incredible.
It's why we watch them, isn't
Yeah.
it, when we come here, because we know that you're going to get a great show every time.
And there's always a catchy song or two thrown in.
Just a few. I think it was every version of every Christmas song in every different language you can think of, and
much.
I've got like French versions of All I Want for Christmas stuck in the head now. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Great show. Right, it's time to do Dragon Con, but first, time to get some layers on.
Yeah.
When I say it's cold, it's hat in Spain cold. It is absolutely freezing. Of course, Mike's still in shorts and t-shirt, but absolutely not. It is absolutely freezing. Who turned the sun off? That was just, you know, keeping that wind at bay, but now it's like being in Blackpool almost. It's got that windy here at PortAventura that Dragon Con and Shambhala have now closed due to high winds. I'm really not surprised because it is absolutely freezing. The trees are blowing everywhere. We can barely stand up, it's that windy, so I apologise if it's shaky filming. So unfortunately there's not going to be a review of Dragon Con for a while, if at all, in this video now. So hopefully I will get on it today, but it's not looking good. Earlier on in the video, we mentioned about getting chicken at the Saloon Show. Well, this is what we were on about. You get 6 of the chicken fingers and chips. And Mike absolutely loves it. That's why he comes to PortAventura.
Just for the chicken.
And you know it's cold because Mike has got sleeves on. He's actually got sleeves on.
It's got that cold.
I don't think Shambhala or Khan are going to reopen, do you? No, I don't. So we're just going to eat chicken and chips and drink coffee and stuff like that, I think. It's eerily quiet in this area of PortAventura without hearing Dragon Con's B&M Raw rumbling past and Shambhala going past. It's just very strange. I don't think I've ever been in the park before where both of these coasters have been closed at the same time. And it is understandable why they're closed. It is very windy at points. I think it's more gusts than like permanent wind. But when the gusts do kick in, it is very windy all of a sudden and very cold at the same time. It is a shame. It is really sad that this has happened, but with how bad the weather's been at home, I'm really not surprised that the cold and the stormy weather has hit Spain as well. It was inevitable, really. It's definitely fair to say that Tatuki Splash looks very different in November and December and when the park's open in early January compared to how it will do in August. But I've got to be honest, there was no way I would have gone on this today, even before the weather got as cold as it is now. So I'm really not bothered that it's closed, but it's always interesting to come and have a nosy at it whilst it's fully drained and doesn't have any of the boats on.
If it was open, I'd have probably come prepared.
Yeah.
Obviously I knew it was shut, so I didn't come prepared. But if it was open, I'd have probably brought a change of clothes with me.
Yeah. So, next up, it's going to be Furious Backhoe. Now I know not many people like this, but I really like this, so I'm really looking forward to getting on it. I've just taken a ride on Furious Backhoe. Now I still don't get why it's so hated. I know that it's not, I don't even think smooth's the right word because I don't think it's rough. It's intense, there's no doubt about it. It's very intense and it vibrates a lot, but it isn't rough. It's not like a rough feeling ride. It's just intense in my opinion. I just think it's overhated so much. It's a much better ride than it gets credit for in my opinion. It's intense, it's fast, it has a little bit of airtime. I don't like the inversion, if I'm being honest. It doesn't agree with my shoulders so much, but all in all, I still think it's a great coaster, and I think if I hadn't had so many health problems, let's say, years ago with operations and stuff like that, I'd probably still go on it as much now as I used to 10 years ago, but my body just won't let me do that now. But I still don't think it's rough. I just think, yes, it's got vibrations, and yes, it is intense, but rough, definitely not. Just a great coaster that I always enjoy going on. Dragon Khan is back open, so I'm rushing over to it now to give it a go. I'm not sure how we managed it, but we just about managed to get on street mission before the queue
Finally.
closed. Yeah, finally. We've only
been coming here since what, 11 o'clock?
Yeah, and every time we've come to it, something else has taken priority. Well, Dragon Khan's still going then. It's taken me 2 years to get on it, so I'll talk about it after you. What did you think?
That is the best start ride I've ever been on.
Do you want to talk about it as a ride a little bit?
So, without giving too much away, the theme is that this giant cookie's been stolen. It's obviously a Sesame Street theme. Giant cookie's been stolen, and it's your mission to get it back. Board the ride, it's the same ride system as Symbolica, Mouse of Chocolat, a couple of others. That modern trackless people mover ride. 3D zappers.
Like a Sky remote?
Yeah, they're quite similar to like a Nintendo Wii remote. The tele remote really, on a cable. Like I say, it's 3D, but I've never been on a 3D ride like that before. The first bit of it is very similar to Mouse of Chocolat at Phantasialand, for those who've been on that. Sort of ambling round, you know, it's a digital, it's all projected, zapping interactive targets. You know, I think most people have been on similar type rides. Then all of a sudden, halfway round, well, about 3/4 of the way round, you then go into like, it's almost like a 3D simulator, which, considering the fact that there's no axis movement, so you're not rocking like you would in a 4D cinema, for example. The feeling of realism of flying is as good as I've ever seen. And considering you're not actually moving anywhere, it's as good as the hex illusion of going over. It really is. That is the best start ride I've ever been on. And considering it's a kids ride as well, and it's fantastic. It's well worth it. I think we queued about 25 minutes for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'd be put out queuing an hour for it. I really
agreed.
don't.
Agreed.
It's a fantastic ride. And of course it's got quite universal appeal because it's Sesame Street.
Exactly.
So everyone knows Sesame Street.
I've waited 2 years to do that. I came here a couple of weeks after it had opened and it had a 2-hour queue. I came back to the park 5 or 6 months later, it had a 2-hour queue. So I was just like, I'm not doing it, I just can't be bothered to wait for it. And then obviously I didn't come here last year. And all day I've been saying to Mike, we have to do it, we have to do it, we have to do it. And Mike's been like, why have we got to do it? And I'm like, we just have to do it. Everybody who's been on it says it's excellent. Well, it is excellent. And Mike's not far wrong. It is one of the best start rides in the world, if not the best start ride in the world. It's absolutely fantastic. Normally, when I get handed the 3D glasses, I just think, oh, here we go again. And I don't really connect with the ride, if that makes sense. But so good. We're coming to the end of a very good day, PortAventura. Mike, highlights?
Being back.
Being back.
Literally being back. You forget how good this place is, how much fun this place is.
Agreed.
So we've done the 2 shows. 2 shows are brilliant. Done some of the rides. What I've done has been great. So look forward to a bit more of that tomorrow. Obviously the wind or the weather situation sort of curtailed us mid-afternoon.
Agreed.
Which didn't help. But obviously I've not done the rapids because it just got way too cold for it. So might do that first thing in the morning.
On your own?
On me top. Yeah. Fingers crossed that'll be open when we get here tomorrow. So, and if not, I get to watch it fill up again.
I was going to say, I think it'll be defrosting when we get here. I don't know about anything else.
Yeah. But yeah, no, really enjoyed myself.
Honestly, it's been emotional to be back. I always knew that I loved this theme park, but just being back here, it's just like, yeah, I so enjoy being here. I don't really know how to describe the feeling of walking back in the entrance this morning when we got here, and it's just like, just a good feeling that you can't put words into, and I hope that that's translated into the video, that we have had a damn good time all day. The rides here are not perfect. There is instances where there is some rides that aren't great. I don't think I did a review on Dragon Con earlier, so I'll start with that. It was rough and it needs a retrack. It's probably as rough as any B&M out there at the minute. It's not a ride I'll be rushing to go back on, but you know what? Forgetting that, this park didn't have to reopen that with an hour to go. Well, it wasn't even an hour to go. They reopened it with about 40 minutes left of the day. And they reopened it because they were thinking about guest experience. And they reopened Shambhala. Yes, those rides could not operate as they would normally do when it's a nice sunny day here, but they opened them and they gave people the chance to go on them. And I would imagine they'll still be running the queues off that they've now got, probably sometime into tomorrow. But they want to get people on it, they want people to have a good time, and I think for me, today has shown that this is probably the best example of customer service at this park in a long time, because they've not just been thinking about fast pass, make everybody buy fast pass. They've actually been thinking about guest experience, and I think I say that, and I'm pleased to say that, because the last couple of times I've been here, you could just tell it was all about upsell fast pass and hold the main queues as long as they could. Whereas now, that's not been the same today, and I think even though the queues have been slow, they've been slow because of the weather. And when they've had the chance to rush rides and get them going and keep the queues moving, they certainly have done. As an example, when they did have Shambhala open, they weren't hanging about. When they could get it sent, they were sending it fast. And it was the same on Dragon Con when I did it. So, big shout out to all of the staff. It's not been a usual day here in terms of weather. I've never been here when it's been this windy before, and yet they've done a great job of keeping this park open, because we were saying 3 hours ago, we wouldn't blame them for closing because it had got that windy. So fair enough, everything's kept going as much as they possibly could keep it going. I haven't got a particular highlight other than just being here. It is just so good to be here again. I don't visit as often as I used to. Even before COVID, I stopped coming here as often as I used to. But it's just always so nice to get here. I really enjoyed the Christmas shows. I think they're actually better than they've ever been before. The one in the Saloon just worked so much better in its new format. The Christmas World show that we did, that was excellent as well. The fact that the way that they did it and the way that it was themed to all around the world, it was great. Really good. I'm trying to think of anything else. Like, I think we've spoken about Street Mission, that was excellent. It's just been excellent to come back here, and I just hope that they continue next year to be thinking about guest experience, and I hope that when they build rides in the future, they're thinking about making it as excellent as Street Mission is, because if they do, then they're going to go up a level massively. I'm going to talk about COVID because it is a hot topic at the moment. There is no vaccine passport checks in this park at all. A couple of days ago on social media, it was put out there that you would need a vaccine passport to get food, basically to go inside and get food, to go and watch a show, or to basically go inside anywhere, that you would need a vaccine passport. That has not been the case. There was no vaccine passport checks on the entrance either. That may change, especially as things seem to be tightening up everywhere again, which is for another subject, of course. Not something that we're going to discuss on Pleasure Beach Experience. But yeah, I just wanted to mention the kind of checks here, because people are starting to travel to parks again. We're starting to travel to parks again, and I feel like at the minute it's worth sharing that information if we've got it. I think I'm going to end it there. If you get a chance to come to PortAventura and we're allowed to do so, then fully recommend it. It has been busier than what I expected, but I've had a great day, probably better than I was expecting. It's been an absolute pleasure to be back here. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Pleasure Beach Experience video.